Hi, it's me, Vivian, and I have the Universe Connection channel here on YouTube, and I kind of wanted to bring something to mind about living one moment at a time. And this is not scripted, so I'm gonna walk you through it and just kind of figure out how we could think about how one day at a time and what it means. For me, one day at a time is I'm learning how to live more present, so it's actually one moment at a time. Living one moment at a time is very, I'm going to be honest, in the beginning it was very complicated. Because I had embodied that I had to be doing something at every moment. And if I didn't have my day scheduled, if I didn't have my my life scheduled, then I didn't, I would be like aimless and but I also, in my being scheduled and being stressed, upset, had some expectations, and realized that that I was not happy. Realized that I could be a little bit more freedom. I wanted freedom, and what through my studying and my work that I've done, the only way that I could establish my freedom is if I stopped doing what I was doing. And kind of sounds counterintuitive, where you're like, I could be doing this, but in actual I'm doing this, and still not be happy or have that balance and freedom that I wanted. I'm learning to embody a new version of myself, and peace and action, and just being me. I feel happier. I feel more guided. I'm more in tune with how my body feels, and I'm allowing things to unfold. And I've used that word before, unfold, because you don't know what the next moment holds for you. Even though you have a list, you don't know, or you don't know. So, that uncertainty kind of lingers around and makes you feel disconnected, or you think you're connected, and then all of a sudden, things go sidewinders. And that's another thing too, is where is our mind placement? What do we have in our minds and in our hearts? And when I touch my heart, that's where, our we recognize where our nervous system lies when you feel that anxiety, or, racing heart, or, that's where you feel where you're at in your life at that moment. So right now, I have a little bit of angst because I'm excited to do another video. I'm excited to work on myself, and not only that, as it being a universal connection channel, being able to communicate with others. We don't talk about this enough. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm none of those. I'm just a teacher. I have, a special ed degree, and I understand language very differently, I guess, because I've been so intuitively connected by absorption and recognizing. I think that's what made me a really good teacher, is honing into those moments where, especially being a special ed teacher, you work with students that can be nonverbal, and they express themselves, and you can hear how they express, and you can see their level of energy that's running through them, if they're angry, upset, or or even anybody, children. I mean, even us, we pick up our frequencies. I mean, according to science, energy flows around us, and we're constantly sending out signals of our attitude, our behavior. And if you're not awake to that, then you don't pick it up. And obviously, I can say I'm very awake to that. So I can listen to even conversations and the tones, and I can feel where my nervous system kind of moves up and down, and I'm thinking, ooh, okay, what can I do to make the situation better? How can I be a participant, especially being a teacher? How can I share or give guidance to a student that is not feeling it good? And so that's what I'm talking about, is like moments and bringing things into perspective, and even identifying ourselves in our actions, in our behaviors, and why do we react that way. I do talk about writing and help you guide. So I don't know if anybody's those 5-year plans, 10-year plans. I kind of throw those out the door, even though you can have an idea of your direction, but you can create that as you go. That kind of gives you a focus. I've talked about vision boards. Vision boards help with that too. But when I go back to living in the moment kind of really just keeps you accountable for that moment. You don't have to think ahead. You don't have to think behind. You don't have to do anything. You just know that sometimes you do have things that you need to do. Appointments, something comes up, you make the adjustment, and then you reevaluate. And we constantly are doing that. We're not aware of it. Sometimes we're not aware that we do these things. And this channel is just to bring awareness of who we are, awareness of what direction we want. For me, reason why doing this channel, why being a mentor, because it makes me feel good. Because when I recognize something or I notice something within myself, I want to take note, at least share it, so somebody can maybe say, oh, I've had one of those moments and I didn't know what to do at that moment. And if I did do something with that moment, how did I handle it? Was I calm about it, or was I reactive about it? Because the way we respond to situations, to people, and they're all frequencies. Let me get back to this, frequencies. I know I might be all over the place, but quantum physics, law of attraction, mindset, let me think, embodiment. Embodiment was really, I am embodying this. Being on this channel. I'm embodying being working, on a bigger platform than a classroom. And this is, kind of scary, of course, something new. I've never done this before. And I can honestly say that it's been, that's what life is. It's like the exploration of the next moment, the next moment, and the next moment. What do we want? Abundance. Okay. You can first start saying it and believing it. It's been in scripture somewhere saying, what your thoughts are is what your belief is. And so, it kind of all connected. Not kind of, it is. It's all connected. And me standing back here and, coming from my room, this is my bedroom, I wanted to be in a different zone so that you can see I'm a real person living this real life and living real experiences. And things that I embodied, embodied being, a wife, embodied being a mother of adult children. embodying being a grandmother, embodying being, you know, these things that we kind of have on the outside thinking, oh, this is what I want, this is who I want to be, blah, blah, blah. But then you're like, but you keep looking and you're trying to figure out, oh, wait, you know, how do I get there? All you have to do is just start stating it and believing it. You know, it's just going into that next section of your life. Like I say, I want to embody elegance. How do I do that? How do you embody elegance, really? Well, the way I started thinking is, what do I think elegance is? I think elegance is, you know, doing my hair. I know I've been in some videos that have been really messy, but it's because I am embodying a new version of myself. Actually getting in front of the camera, being authentic. And that's another thing I want to embody. I want to embody me. I want to embody things that I've learned and I'm putting to practice. And I want to, because sometimes studying all this stuff, you know, the law of attraction, you know, quantum physics, changing your thoughts and all that, it's just steps and it baby steps. You know, I didn't get to this point like yesterday, although I did. And it kind of sounds weird, but because I wasn't the person that I am right here, right now, wasn't the same person yesterday. I was a new version. I'm a different version from yesterday. And you can be a different version in the next moment because, you know, the minute that I turned on the camera, my hair was not done. So I had to do my hair to create a new version of myself. That's how simple it is, you know, and even the way you think, you know. Maybe I decide not to hold this person accountable for this. Guess what? You were just embodying forgiveness and allowing yourself to let that go. And yeah, you know, there's many embodiments that we all go through. And I'm only putting myself out there because why not? Why can't I do this? Somebody always told me, Vivian, you can't do that. And I'm like, really? Yes, I can do what I want. You all can do what you want. You can do it, you know, and be okay with that. And be, you know, how do you be okay with that? Well, I did a lot of learning and practicing, but I'm giving you like little snippets because it's easier than what we think it is. You know, I mean, sometimes resting your mind and letting it be and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to do what you want. You know, I gave myself permission to be loved. You know, I gave myself permission to have more freedom. And guess what? I'm working from home right now. You know, I have 2 businesses. I'm working on a 3rd business. You know, I got a podcast. You know, and I'm creating as I go. Why? Because I say yes. You know, I've mentioned that I've written books because these things just came out of me, stating yes to, you know. I mean, I can give you another version of a yes moment. I was working in Phoenix, and I had just graduated from ASU. Yeah, great school. And you know what? It's a college, it's a university, and I'm just really grateful because I thought I was going to go to the U of A. I didn't go to the U of A because that wasn't how it opened up for me. But I said yes every time I turned around. I said I wanted to go to college. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And I didn't think I was college material, you know, and here I am, 2 degrees later, you know, a bachelor's of science in human development and a master's in education, specialized in special education. You know, I've done things that have opened me up to recognize that the possibilities are endless, you know, and I think too, me doing these videos, I have grandchildren that don't live close to me, but eventually they'll get to see this. And maybe they can get the concept of living life. because I can't give it to them right now. Whew. That's emotional because, I have these desires, and I want to make connections, and maybe this is the connection for them. But going back, so I went to school. I couldn't get a job paying more than $32,000 a month. I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I went to school. Everybody said, go to school, you'll get a good salary, blah, 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 blah. It didn't work out for me. It wasn't my reality. And the more that I kept getting disappointed about it, the more reality it showed me that I can't make more than $40,000 a year. And I spent all this money in college education and even pulled out more than my student loans. And what? To be in that situation, I was disgusted. I was mortified. I was disappointed. I was let down in a way because I followed somebody else's belief system, and that didn't resonate with me. And I didn't know, but I didn't have a teacher. And somebody couldn't tell me, hey, if school is something that you desire and that's what you want, that's what I desired. But I had an intention behind it by saying, I'm going to have good college education, good pension, retirement, teacher's retirement. Yeah, this should be good, because stability was not a big, it was a very big thing for me because I didn't grow up like that. And I'm okay to say that. There was fluctuations in my life. Maybe a lot of us are going through a lot of fluctuations, but we don't speak about it, and that's okay. I'm here to talk about it, and it's okay. But I have 2 degrees that, to me right now, the worth of them, I value, because I had dedication, I had the momentum to go to school. I was actually a straight A student, and I was in the cum laude, one of the, kind of like a sorority, but it doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is that I'm here. I'm here to talk about my stories. I'm here about sharing things that, I always wondered if somebody else was going through this stuff. And now I get to speak about it. And if it resonates, yeah, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Maybe you can share it with somebody else. It's okay, because we're not on the same page all the time. And that's what makes this beautiful universal connection, is we're connecting to someone else to help us understand the next moment. So being a teacher, going to school, making $30,000, nope, that wasn't going to cut it. Not even. So then I decided, like most teachers, unfortunately I have to say that, because that's the society, or a reality that we live in, is that we have to get a second job, or get a second job to provide us with the other need that we need. I don't know. I mean, I got a second job. I was single. What else could I do? Is go out and stay, get myself busy and live life, and at least I thought. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, can I afford this? I sure dang did. I mean, I live downtown Phoenix. I don't know. I did miraculous things with, a belief system that expands, and I love it. And I had a beautiful, little small high-rise downtown Phoenix, parked my car in the garage. Yep. And, took the elevator up to my apartment. It was city life living, amazing fun. But what I'm getting to is when I decided to walk away from that job. I was working, I was, sitting at a swimming pool there in my place, and I met someone. And that person said, hey, I have a high profile nanny agency. Would you like to work for me? Because she liked my credentials. She liked what I had to offer. And I said, okay. And boy, did that give me an expansion like never before. I traveled across the country. I traveled with athletes. I traveled and I worked for heart doctors, and I worked for musicians, and I was able to care for their children and offer the best care and education. So I called it baby school. But what are you doing with your life? Can you talk about all these adventures? And if you're not, you know, I hope this opens you up to that, to say yes to the things that you want to do. And the fear behind it is just not, you know, it's there. But if you can calm yourself and allow for the new thing to show up because you desire it so much, the pain and the suffering is because you're keeping yourself from it. You're not giving yourself permission to do what you want in your life. So on that note, I can keep on, you know, jabbing. I can keep on talking, but I just wanted to bring that out. I just wanted to say, hey, are you doing what you want to do? I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I want. Sometimes I can have a little angst, and it's okay, because it's like you can't harness this. You can only experience it and live it and enjoy it. And then kind of you get wobbly, and that's okay, because when you get wobbly, it kind of gives you that idea of, what do I prefer? Do I prefer to continue on, or is it showing me a different path? And that's okay. So all I'm saying is, one moment at a time. Take one moment at a time. Find your freedom in that, and love, and authenticity, and integrity, and peace, and joy, and calm. You know, just find that. And for those of you that, you know, I don't know. I'm just putting this out there. Why? Because I can. And if you're willing to listen this far, then I think you're pretty interested about what's going on in your life, and you want to activate something more grandiose. And you can still be grounded and steady in your nervous system when you start exploring outside of the new and the amazing. So here, I'm Vivian, Universe Connection Channel. And if this resonates with you, awesome. And if you have any questions, you need any support, I'd be happy to help you out. I'm just putting it out there. So on that note, best day ever. Peace out.